Good afternoon. I'm Cam. I'm currently the host and runner of Vorthos Tribal, the channel that you're probably watching this on. Today, what we'll be doing is we'll be doing a sort of year in review where we'll be looking back in the past year of Magic and talking about what we liked, what we didn't like, things that we're hoping for next year, and just generally having a roundtable discussion. With me in this discussion, I have Sam of Commander Crunch.
Hello, how you doing?
And I also have Rod. Is there any channel that you're part of that you want to plug or anything?
It's all under construction.
Okay, excellent.
King of Engineers is the AKA generally.
Yep.
Known as on notoriously on some discords, but yeah.
I didn't know it was in tutorials.
No, actually, it's good. What's the opposite of that? Like, it's just like, oh yeah, he's a great person to invite along to a Commander game, which is like the greatest thing you can say about someone.
Oh yeah.
And
High
I always
praise,
say,
high
Rod,
praise indeed.
Side. You're the great. You're like the bomb on Mario Kart, like at the end, where some people just like peace out and they like literally just log out after they.
No.
defeat.
Rod's the blue shell in Mario Kart.
Oh, blue shell, and then the bomb, which is like, hey, guess what? You're still in the arena game. You're still there. You're still part of it, even if like you're not trying to win and you're cheering everyone else on. I love that.
Yeah.
So, yeah, good energy.
Yes, so Rod's here for good energy.
Binge.
Well,
Good vibes.
we're boned.
Yeah.
Now, before we get started, is there anything that people would like to plug just at the beginning, just to direct people to various channels or things that they want to get some eyes on?
I think the name enough alone was that we haven't put out so much this year for Commander Crunch, but it is a podcast. You can find it on some audio devices and stuff. I think they're kind of timeless. The episodes, which is nice, and it's a bit of a lofty way to talk about it, but it's fun. Rod was on there once upon a time, and we talked to luminaries of the Commander world, I guess, and it was a project we started in the pandemic and kind of look to do some stuff with in the future, but we'll see how it goes. So there's 50 odd episodes ready to consume, but other than that, it's you can find me on Twitter at PassTheJamSam, or just find us on Twitter as well as the podcast at Commander or CMDR_Crunch. And that's me. Great, you, Rod?
Yeah. I guess the only real place I'm active is on Twitter.
That's true. What's your tag, Rod?
I believe it's at KOE Engineer.
It's it. You have to get all the capitalizations and right.
Oh my god. Capital
No,
K underscore O.
It's okay.
capital E.
I'll stick a link in the description below. So
Yeah, that's the easy way to do it. Exactly.
Yeah.
Now let's talk about 2022.
yes. Oh, that's
Where did the time go? Obligatory work. Like, oh wow, where did the time go? What a year.
working hard or hardly working.
Yeah, exactly. I think we've been in that mode for a few years, so it's it's definitely been said. But yeah,
Yeah.
certainly a lot of magic at least.
There is. In fact, that leads us to the first point. So, there were a lot of sets and things released over the past year. Going around the table, any sets that you liked, disliked, anything that sort of stood out to you in the sets?
I think I could easily like cherry pick something from each of the sets, but that's a good point, and I think somewhere to start that maybe it's good to distill my thoughts down to something I liked only, because I'm not much of a dislike person. I have some things I'll critique.
Well,
whatever.
I mean, it's not particularly something that you straight up dislike, but it's something that maybe the set could have done a bit better. Like,
And I think, to be honest, I think those will come out organically. And I think the biggest overarching thing I'll say, I guess I'll start with that. Actually, yeah, dislike. And it's not so much one set. It's more that I honestly do believe that this year, for Wizards of the Coast and Magic and all that stuff, I made an active choice to kind of step away from a lot of the discourse and like letting a company and the card game kind of get me down if it's not meeting expectations. So I think it was more I just had less expectations on it. So under that lens, I was looking at it under the idea that there is so much craft and actually great ideas still in these sets, and everything that was released for the most part, in my opinion. But there's just so much of it, so it's just like that scale got ramped up, that production got ramped up, and I like for the most part, I honestly don't believe they compromise on much quality. So my only issue is that there's so many great ideas going around that they didn't have their time in the sun, and it was like the amount of things that had crossovers, and it was such a product fatigue type thing, and that happened that. It just meant that you didn't have that time to dwell on, like, once you put a commander deck together of this sweet uncommon from like Dominaria or something, it's like already Brothers War's out and something else is out, and it's like that already felt, not that you have to do everything brand new, but that already felt like, oh wow, that's already like 3 sets ago. That seemed old or something if you throw that on the stream. And again, that doesn't really matter, but it was just didn't seem like the new thing when you're like, oh, we're going to a commander game and trying that new commander. So that's the only real main critique, and I think more will kind of organically come out. But as far as like a set that was like that was awesome, I honestly think Baldur's Gate was, for me, Commander Baldur's Gate was the one that people are like, it doesn't have the power, it doesn't have all this stuff, the instant flashy stuff.
But it was a fun set.
Oh yeah, at the time, it was occurring to me, and it still does now with like playing a lot of those cards out, putting them into decks. I mostly play Commander. I play other things too, but so that's kind of my tainted lens a little bit. But I just felt there was a lot more just interesting, fun options rather than just objectively high, super powerful ones. Like there's powerful stuff in Baldur's Gate, but there was just so many joyous little things. Like backgrounds were a masterpiece. I think that was such a good mechanic. And having all the possibilities there, and all you can do there. And then I'm learning more as a crossover fandom about the world of D&D as well. And I know it's been around forever and that kind of thing, but I've only started like last year playing it as a game, and so getting a lot of those references as well was super, super delightful. And I think that will continue to go through with, of course, all the other universes that we go to. And I'm definitely in the camp of, I think they're a positive rather than a like. Some people get a bit funny
a cash grab.
Yeah, totally. And like, hey, it's a company, and like I've always had that opinion. Like, it's a company. What do you think they're going to do? Not make money? Of course they're going to make money. And welcome new players in. I think the best thing we can do is just be good custodians, that kind of thing, to welcome people to the game. But yeah, that was sweet, and I definitely have friends that like are mostly D&D kind of fans. And for them to see the cards, oh wow, that's sweet. Like there's an Aarakocra in the card, or there's a 50 feet of rope, and all this stuff. And mechanically, they actually even added something new rather than
rehashing.
Or just putting a picture on there and kind of like phoning it in. And to be honest, I don't think design-wise, I don't think Wizards have phoned it in. I can't remember the last time, mate. Like, I honestly believe things like the $1,000 booster packs for 30 years or whatever it is.
Oh, we'll talk about that a bit later.
It's a whole other thing, but I don't think that's all of like in the heart and spirit of, say, someone deep in R&D would make that, because it's what I mean, like, or like it's the price tag that was the issue. The design is sweet, like that kind of thing. So I like to isolate things by price tags too, because I think everyone should just go, yeah, if a product's not for me, it's not for me, that kind of thing. So Baldur's Gate, absolute home run for me, because also people thought it wasn't the greatest, and I was like, no, you've got to look closer. There's so many cool cards. There's so many like 50-cent rares that were like just bangers in Commander. That go in and make, in my opinion, just fun Commander games, like those nice interactive ones where interesting things happen. They're not oppressive, that kind of thing. So yeah.
Also, the background, like playing the League with Sam over the Discord.
Oh, I forgot about that.
It made me reevaluate what cards were in there, because there were quite a few cards I didn't give a second thought about. Yeah. But once I played with the cards, I was like, oh my god, this works better than intended.
Totally. And how much did we get to see that set too? Like playing a boxing league where it's like you might usually buy a box for a set, but to like have a league across the world, basically, like people around to go, oh, we're going to do a league over 12 weeks.
Oh, I could have won that league if I didn't get married.
we have paid attention to that set.
Don't hold your wife against that.
Exactly. You're on a tear. Exactly. And there was just so much sweet stuff, and we forced ourselves to like build different decks each week and that kind of stuff, and it was just super fun.
I mean, like we saw a few archetypes pop up, but like people still got to play Magic.
Absolutely, that's a really great like way to put it. Actually,
but like from what I've read from an article and from personal experience, just the fact it was a D&D branded product did so much to attract new players and people who would have thought about playing Magic, but they really didn't want to.
Yeah. Like it was speaking their verbiage, like it's like this is a thing that is strong in your universe, your game, whatever. And to put that as a parallel in a Magic like piece is super powerful.
The only complaint I've heard is that the Tarrasque didn't do enough to be flavor worthy.
Was that in this one or the last one?
No, it was in this one.
Sure.
Yeah, because
I remember playing that on. Was that standard? Or did Baldur's Gate get a version on Arena? Didn't it?
Yes, Baldur's Gate is the only one that got a version on Arena.
Yeah, that's right. Because it had to change a lot of the kind of things.
Yeah, but they didn't change the Tarrasque, which is actually terrifying when it hits because.
Yeah. Like, how do you body like the craziest like entity in the world? Like, I guess they did it with who's the big 5-headed dragon?
Tiamat.
Tiamat.
Yeah. Like they did that. Okay, I think that was pretty cool.
Yeah, Tiamat was okay.
Rask in like the Magic world like didn't feel like it's not like Ulamog.
I like the idea of the Tarrasque is so one-minded that it can be it can be distracted by something else. Well, that's normally the D&D tactic.
Well, the Tarrasque is as terrifying because it's a ward 10 and it's a 10/10, and when it attacks, it fights something.
Well, like it's a very I'm going to steamroll one thing in particular.
How close can you get to hexproof without it being hexproof? Like ward 10's pretty.
No, I like that it's on cast, so it doesn't feel as bad when you reanimate it.
That's true. Yeah, I did hardcast it in what do you call it, like draft or whatever. So
the dream.
Well, the only way you get the ward 10 is if you hardcast it.
Yeah, that's right. It rewards you.
Yeah, it does, which is pretty cool.
Totally.
So, Senor Rod.
Yep.
What did you like? Anything you like? What sets did you like, dislike? Do you want to gush about? This is the time to gush about sets.
Yeah.
For me personally, because my birthday's in January, like I have a huge affinity for the first sets of the year.
Double feature.
Double feature doesn't count.
Double feature was the first set of the year.
Double feature doesn't count. Kamigawa does.
I'm a real set. No, you're not. No, you're not double feature. And again, I'll isolate price tag from that because that was my big issue with that one. It's just like, yeah, but it's the same thing as before.
Well, like,
black and white, but different.
My biggest pet peeve was that for that price, it wasn't a curated set.
Yeah, I think it was one of those things where the R&D were told one thing, or at least Maro was told one thing, and then corporate made a decision later on and didn't really tell anyone else.
100%.
Yeah.
Exactly what we're saying. I was kind of like alluding to before. I think that goes on so much more than people like give them.
Oh yeah.
Because Maro was actually really excited for the set, and you could see in everything. And then all of a sudden, you could tell that he was only. And then so then they made the change/announcement, and you could tell that Maro was like. He wasn't as excited, but he was excited because corporate told him he had to be excited.
Exactly, and there's a lot of that with Maro these days, and he has to do it, and it kind of amazing what he does, and it's just like sometimes I go, that's gotta suck. Like that, nothing taints opinion of things like a price tag.
Yeah, that's true.
I will defend Maro on this one thing. He's a good corporate voice,
totally,
because he does his job well. Even though his job sometimes is not appeasing the customers.
That's true, and he does always come
Because-
across as being a man of the people, which
But like, okay,
well, because he is.
So-
He plays the game
yeah.
as much as he loves designing it.
so he's Elon Musk. If Elon Musk did a good job,
Well, let's not draw that. Let's not draw that
okay.
comparison. I mean,
Yeah, no, I will draw that comparison because Elon Musk, every time he opens his mouth, he makes his stocks tank because he attaches personality to the product. Marco sort of did the same thing, but he hasn't done that same mistake because he knows when to say stuff and when not to say stuff. So he will say, like, you can sometimes hear in his voice I'm going to say this, but you can hear in my tone that I don't want to say it, but I will because I like my job.
well, it's not. I don't think it's so much as I like my job, so much as it is my job.
It is
But
my
yeah,
job, and
okay.
and you have to, and I respect him for that. And someone who's worked a corporate job, your hands are tied most of the time, and you got to deal with that. But sorry, what's the original point?
The original point was you liked Kamigawa, not double feature.
I love okay, I loved everything about it. The flavor was amazing.
Yeah.
The mechanics were amazing, having ninjutsu and a fixed version of Bushido.
Yes, that's true. Yeah. The samurai when they attack alone. Yep.
And also not like, sorry, that samurai attack alone, that's more exalted, isn't it?
It's Bushido, because Bushido and Exalted are almost the same. Like, they're very similar.
No, Bushido's when they become blocked, or block or become blocked, right?
Yeah, the samurai thing. Yeah, I think it is.
Okay.
But regardless, it's like I totally agree that set was nuts. As far as I think a lot of people felt it was a nice redemption for Kamigawa.
Yes.
But I never lived through the set, so I don't know why people are like, oh yeah, it's like all this like amazing world building, all this stuff. The cards kind of sucked.
Yeah,
and
I missed Kamigawa by a year, if I recall, when I came back into Magic.
Because I got in just in between Innistrad and Ravnica, right, Cam?
No, you were Ravnica and Theros.
No, I played Capenna before the Ravnica pre-release.
Because I don't recall you playing during Innistrad. I remember that much.
I didn't play Innistrad.
I was playing with Tom and a few other people.
Yeah, no, I wasn't playing. I didn't play Innistrad. I just missed out on that one.
Yeah, Ravnica. You were around Ravnica because I remember you coming to me and constantly complaining about Voice of Resurgence.
Oh, what a
fucking card. Voice of Resurgence. That was too standard. No, I remember this famous incident. I had a Isid Commander deck, and I want Ral Zarek for my Isid pre-release deck. Cam, you're not gonna get it. First booster pack I open, Ral Zarek.
Yeah,
he goes,
I remember that.
Oh bullshit! You don't even know about Planeswalkers too. Doesn't matter. I got it.
Confirmation bias on that one for sure.
Yeah.
That's a very common experience with a lot of newer players. They're like, I don't want this card because of how it functions. I want this card because it's cool.
Remember what happens, yeah.
I remember the feeling rather than the actual card.
That is true. That is what many players first remember, is the feeling of the game rather than the individual cards. That feeling of achievement or cracking a card that you're like, that looks cool, I want to play with that.
Yeah.
Like, my first deck that I constructed by myself ever was a Draco deck. And for those of you who
that 16 mana thing,
it
gets too cheaper for each basic land that you have. I fucking love that shit.
Yeah.
Mine was, I think my first one was Niv Mizzet, and the only reason I built is because someone in my player group went, and hey, just what you're gonna do is just put in counter spells, put in some burn spells, put Curiosity. I'm gonna treat you as a second hand. So I'm going to tell you what to counter and when. And then I went,
I know who you're talking about. Yeah.
Hang on. This fucking sucks. I hate it.
So, Commander I often find is like sometimes a big personality test too, because it does illuminate several qualities about people.
That's why.
Depending on what they gravitate towards the most.
Then I bought the Marth deck, and that's become my forever commander.
Yeah, Marth.
Good bull.
Oh.
I was just saying now so Kamigawa, I realized now, like I had a bit of a memory of it, but now that you brought it up, I was like, oh yeah, looking all through the set and stuff. I think that the Master Striker design I see here is how well they did a set that was equally about artifacts and enchantments.
Yes.
How cool is that? And the big reason there's a big dichotomy about the whole thing. It's about tradition versus the future, and civilization versus nature, that kind of thing. It's almost like a big Studio Ghibli set.
It is.
The anime kind of comparisons aside, but like a lot of those things in Ghibli movies are about
Princess Mononoke mixed with
totally versus like the kind of the synthetic and that kind of thing, or the people trying to build into the nature and that kind of thing. So and the best depiction of that is those lands. That it's still my favorite lands.
The Ukyo Air lands. Yeah.
So it was when I realized that there's a set of each of the 5 basics that is the natural side of plains, islands, swamp, etc. And there's a set of 5 that depict the civilized version or the built version. So there's like a plains, but instead it's a little city, but like still looks like a plains. The mountain is like a mountain town, and like the forest is a forest town, that kind of thing. So it's like it's exactly that depicted in those, and won a competition actually to get a lot of these as art prints, which is really cool. They're like little postcard size ones, so I'm
nice.
Setting them up. So best thing to do, I've got
was
one
that
of
the
each
one I got you to enter and I lost?
Yeah, and do you know why? Because
not that you hold a grudge.
Perfect segue. Yeah, you know what, Rod? You can have all the prints that I'm not using.
No. It's fine. I just love the idea of like I thought I had this in a bag.
Yeah,
and Sam just went.
Answer was sick too, but
and then Sam just went, oh, I'll just do it for shits, and he goes, oh, I won. I'm like, I tempted fate on that one.
The answer is the perfect segue, because I mean it's an absolute winner set for me, because they literally had "You Are Already Dead" as a card, so it's like it's like it's a good card. It's really good. So that was my answer. They said, "What's your favorite card from the set?" And I said, "Well, you can just say this like it's Fist of the North Star." It's great. That's a show itself, right?
And to think we're missing the Ora card.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the Honda, right? Honda.
That's JoJo.
Hey, and side note, they did make an E-Honda card this year, which is kind of cool. So,
they did, yeah, the Street Fighter.
Weird thing in this set, though. I will keep it going as far as like all the features, because I will say that I think every set these days, almost to a fault, has so many things going on, as we're kind of talking before off the mic, that you don't know fully like what's involved in which packs and all that stuff. So I mean, you're definitely not like you're spoiled for choice for like how much stuff going on there is. But I feel like each of those sets were trying something different, like what to include to entice. And I think we're always going to be the test subjects of, if something does incredibly well for numbers for X amount of reasons, or they're trying something out as like a supplemental feature of this set, they might do it again. So, for instance, it's like the retro artifacts in Brothers War. I think it's that one. Or like the numbered ones, they're like, let's try ultra rare things like sports cards do that are numbered to only 500, that kind of thing. The one they tried on this, I completely forgot about, but it's so strange. They chose one card to like put in the weirdest foil variants that are like super sought after because, they look amazing and cool. It wasn't necessarily on the most playable creature. It was on a good creature, I think, but like it's not like they're putting on like I don't know.
What was the foil variant?
Liliana of the Vale. They put all those foil variants on Hitotsugu, Devouring Chaos. So the
the neon.
Yeah, so they did ones that are super, super rare purple neon. Like there's like 5 variants of that one card, and it was just such an interesting choice for why that was the one. And I think a lot of people are investing pretty hard in them. They're like, that's the thing that's super rare. Because, they're super rare. But, like, some people are a bit critical going, well, I'm not so sure that value maybe behold. Yeah, of course, the rarity holds it. But, like, does playability hold it? Like, it's a card I don't see much. But
I think it's those kind of things that sort of separate the... I don't know what to call them, but sort of like the people who, so the players, as in the people who play for fun,
and there's
the
certainly people that never
accountants.
played the game before. You know,
I kind of want to call them accountants. They're the people who like hoard specific cards and rarities so they can sell them at a higher price because they think that
it's all business, right?
Yeah,
I will defend Wizards on that end though, because they chose a card which the art style fits the foiling, and you can.
And maybe that's exactly it, you know, like,
because like the way the inkstrokes work with the original design of Hidetsugu.
Yeah.
Hitsugu, yeah.
And also Hidetsugu's a big cornerstone of Kamigawa.
That's true.
So like it's more, they went more, and we're gonna choose a card that speaks to the plane rather than we're gonna print on the card that people want.
Yeah.
That's true. Yeah.
And I was just like flicking through, going, "Oh, what other card would you choose?" You know, hypothetically, and I'm like, you know what? Like all of them had pretty cool alternates. Like they had a full art, like most things these days, a full art, an alt art based on the theme. Which, to be honest, all the alt art variants this year too. I don't think it detracted once. Yeah, there's a lot more to look at on a Commander battlefield, but all the alt frames, everything like that, I think they kick ass. Like they're looking really, really good. And my only gripe being like maybe a Phyrexian, but who cares? Like we all read
Oi.
Like, it's fine, seriously.
Oi.
Like,
I'm hearing bad shit about my Phyrexians.
No, you're right. I think that's a net gain. I think.
Said the man who's going to remortgage his home to buy a lot of Phyrexia.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I just saw Invoke Despair in anime art, and that now I need it. That's really good.
I've got it.
It's a beautiful card. Yeah. Anyway. Sorry, Rod, I cut in.
The only one I would want in the Hidetsugu art would be the blue spell that has like the fisherman with the fish.
Yeah, because I love
glimpse into the no, not glimpse into the future.
You're talking about
something.
You talking about the blue spell?
Yes.
That's got that's got like all the stingrays, whatever.
Yes.
This is my favorite part of any content, like podcast, video.
Discovered Impossible.
We all sit around, we try and think about what the bloody card.
Yeah, it's called Discovered Impossible. So it's got like a fisherman. It's got stingrays in the background.
That art is amazing. I love it. I have a foil version, and it's so good.
What I love about it is the fact that it's in water, and underneath you see the sunken city.
Yeah, the perspective on that is fantastic. It's so good because usually for something like that, you'd have the fisherman and you'd be focusing on the fish, the fisherman, the boat, the and whatever he's fishing out. But no, just the perspective on that, where you're looking down, you can clearly see the fisherman, you can clearly see the boat, you can clearly see the many fish / stingrays, and you can. It's one of those cards where every time you look, you just see something new, something different, something, and it just gives you all those layers.
This whole set has like that in spades. Like so many of the art pieces are exactly that, but they have so many things you've never noticed before. Like someone told me Invigorating Hot Spring had a monkey in it. It's like, whoa.
It does.
Oh yeah, the monkeys.
Because I face that weird dichotomy of Magic that when I'm playing, I see game pieces, but when I'm collecting, I see, you know, my creative brain's getting kind of tickled, and it's like, oh, look at all these things, and I get immersed in that kind of side of thing. But it's really funny that they're two different experiences completely. So when I'm playing, it's more just a visual aid to add to, I guess, like picture memory or something, or like that kind of thing. Yeah. Which is funny because it's getting harder and harder with everything.
You don't look at the text so much as you look at the picture on the card and go, yep, that card does that.
Totally. And you like we said before, you feel you remember what it does and like how that feels. And that's always the fun part too, that you can read and assess a card, but then how it plays can feel totally different, like in the cadence of the game, that kind of thing. Yeah, so Kamigawa, bit of a home run, exactly.
Yeah.
Well, I think since we're talking about pretty cards and all that, that's probably a good segue into Secret Lairs. Speaking of interesting art.
Before we do that, Cam, did you have your favourite one?
Oh, right. Sorry. Yeah, no.
Yeah, I'm
So,
really keen to hear
sort of
your kind of.
acted as the host, and then
Nah, it's easy as a host to go. I don't. My opinion doesn't matter, but absolutely.
I hate to say it, but I'm actually torn between two. Um, and that's because so I really sort of liked the feeling, the feel of Streets of New Capenna.
Yeah, and I'm glad you brought that up because I think like as far as like how big that tone is, New Capenna had as much in another direction that some people weren't like the biggest fan of if they're not into Art Deco, but like again, one of the most flavorful sets I think we've ever seen.
Yeah, it had just whenever I look at sorry, one of the legendary creatures, I'm like, I can think of hundreds of different decks that could be done for it, but also the feel, you had things like hide the body and just everything about that. And you had Elspeth as a flapper, and I've never ever thought of anything like that before, but it just looks so good and works so well. And then you had the five houses, and each of them was one of the shards. It
Yeah,
to me it
but
felt
doing
like,
something different, like a bit like how Strixhaven did something different with the pairings.
yeah,
I always so excited for them to do different things with, rather than we know Esper from Alara, Alara or whatever,
yeah,
but Obscura does different things. You know,
yeah.
Maestros do different things. They got like little
Because it's
sacrifice undertone. I
one
love
of
that.
those fantastic things that, those three colors have done this for X number of years, but then someone's come
Exactly.
along and gone, well, actually, those colors can also do this, and
Yeah.
they've stuck it in a set. So yeah, it's very much like Strixhaven, where it's almost the other side of the coin of what these colors can do. They don't just do this one thing, which is kill and reanimate. It's all about, we're going to do other things. We're going to produce little pest
I think
tokens.
this time with a huge emphasis on like personality first in a way. It's like who's the leader, what kind of tone are they setting, and that almost influences the way they play based on like all the visual cues, that kind of thing. Like yeah, Jund is about all these rough and ready like bandits on the street, and like we work with the girders and stuff, and like
Yeah.
we run all the money in the construction industry, and like it's just so cool, and the you get those much more easily than you do like learning about the lore of the plane of the Jund, like
Well,
stuff like
it's
that.
one of those fantastic sets where the cards and playing the cards contributes as much to the lore and the storytelling as the actual story.
Totally. Those
Because
sayings, like you said before, because they're all like really strong verbs. Like you got to cut your losses, and you got to, what was the other one? Like you got to case the joint.
yeah, and this
It's
guy
great.
is totally a legitimate businessman.
Oh, yeah, totally love that. Those unblockable fishies were just like one of my favorite creatures to create in that set. So it's just like that just feels good.
But yeah,
Yeah.
it's just one of the, because there are a number of sets where it sort of feels like there's a disconnect between the story that Wizards want to tell, and the story that R&D are telling.
Yeah, the mechanics. Like
Yeah,
the mechanics can seem a bit dry, that kind of thing.
like I'm probably going to annoy a few people, but I sort of felt that there was a bit of that with what was it, Zendikar.
I was about to say the same thing. Yeah, and maybe it's just like the kicker. I don't know. Like it's just that's always they're the mechanics that feel most like not fair, but like they just feel the most like oh well, yeah, it does exactly what it does. You pay a very fair cost to get a little bit extra out of this card. That
Yeah,
kind of
I sort of felt that that was like with the kicker and with what was it, with party. Like party is not a bad mechanic, but it sort of felt a bit forced in this set, almost like they were trying it out before rolling it into a D&D set or something.
totally. And I was so
Yeah.
surprised we didn't see it dovetail more like aggressively into those, and they kind of just didn't. They usually a lot of sets usually have a really nice little like crossover. I think they're a bit different because those D&D sets were more probably Commander. I think one was limited as well. But standard set to standard set, they design stuff with like, hey, clerics might pop up in a couple of sets, and that'd be really interesting. Look, out of nowhere, like as a matter of fact, here you go. That dovetails with that set 2 sets ago, that kind of thing.
Yeah. But yeah, so so that's why Streets of New Capenna sort of like really spoke to me. Well, it sort of, I know it probably wasn't the most popular set, but it was one of those few sets where I'm like, this sort of warms the cockles of my heart. It makes me happy.
I definitely enjoyed being in the plane rather than drafting it, because it was very clunky set.
You take that back. No, it was a bit, and as I said, I can enjoy it, but I also can sort of pick apart the set because it did feel like there were 5 different directions that it was trying to pull in. Like you had the Obscurers who were doing one thing, and that's great, and then you had the Cabaretti who were doing another thing, but because lore-wise they don't really interact with each other, like they don't actively fight each other, it sort of means that there is also a bit of a disconnect. So it's like, cool, I'm playing Cabaretti, I'm going to play the Riveters, and never the twain shall meet. It's
fun. Yeah, you're right, and we don't maybe speak that much about limited, and I will quickly say Kamigawa is actually a pretty awesome limited set. And I generally say that like the sets are, unless they really suck or they really just feel not fun to play, I think you'll still always get lots of play, but it's more about which ones are good and then amazing, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
I think this is good, but like you say, it's funny when you have a 3-color set. There's an instinct to go like, oh, look at all the fixing. You can play whatever you want. You gel all these cards together, but it's quite the opposite. It's like because those 3 colors are quite resolved in what they want to do, you don't generally want to break much further apart from that. So I think you're disincentivized to go beyond your 3 colors to 4. I think they tried to design a little bit of in there, like that you maybe have your Jund or your what are they called? I'm struggling to replace my verbiage.
Jund is the Cabaretti.
No, Cabaretti's the Naya, I think. Jund are the Riveteers. Yeah, Riveteers. So I think.
God, I can't remember. We'll just go with the established stuff.
They're the Grota guys, Yeah. But you may play that and go, oh well, there's a little bit of stuff. If I just add blue, you get a little bit of the sacrifice stuff that does gel in the Maestros and the vampire stuff, maybe.
Yeah.
There's definitely drafts where you could make that happen with enough fixing, but you do have to like really go hard on the lands.
Yeah, it did sort of feel that at times in the set,
I feel like they wanted to do it better than
you could do 4 colors, but it also felt that that they were like, oh, you can do 4 colors, but we'd rather you didn't, because if you go 4 colors, you're going a bit wide, and it's like
totally. And like it goes in these sets, there's often like 5-color card, or there's like a weird rare payoff that maybe it's kind of in draft trying to tell you to like, play this and try it, but you can't miss. Like you have to really commit to do that, That kind of thing, so.
Like it usually in other 2-color sets, I find you can do 4 colors by just grabbing 2 colors and 2 colors and smashing them together. But in 3-color sets, you sort of have to justify that 4th color because you've already got 3, and then you're like, do I put in a little bit of blue or red, or
that identity's kind of resolved exactly.
Yeah,
it's super interesting. So
I actually think that's probably why 4-color commanders aren't as popular, or at least there aren't that many. It's because it sort of feels like you're missing that 1 color to round it out properly.
You may as well go 5 if you go 5. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I don't see them that much, and I tend to find these days it's just it can get you into a bit of a pitfall of like, oh sweet, why don't I just play all these, and then you can just play everything, and the card pool's almost way too big. It's that trying to actually pick what to play is just like, it's just all the best stuff, and that just means you've got a mash of stuff. Like it's just not as synergistic,
Yeah, I completely agree.
Nice, good call. Was there anything, Cam, on your kind of naughty list?
On my naughty list,
You're like, big, it wasn't the biggest.
Now that not particularly. I tend to enjoy a lot of the product. Most of what would go on my naughty list is generally things that have a little bit of history or that were built up and were then subsequently, well, changed or were clearly okay. The only real thing, the only things on my naughty list would be Innistrad double feature and probably Magic 30.
Yeah, exactly the same, and I gather it's for the same reasons, right? Like it's just like you made that really important distinction before that there's R&D and there's corporate.
Yeah,
like there's probably even more granular like steps than that, of course. But most people just direct all opinion and hatred or whatever to one entity, whereas it's a lot more complex than that, of course.
Yeah,
that's what may have started as like an awesome like design quest, sadly can end up in the realm of people talking about you don't have the means to do it. So yeah,
that's precisely it. Like both of them felt like they were a brainchild of someone from R&D, and they're like, yeah, this would actually be kind of cool. Like double feature was definitely seemed that it was driven by Mark Rosewater. Like he wholeheartedly went in and was like, yes, this is what I want. This is a curated draft set. It's going to be, across 2 sets. This is what I want. This is Chaos Draft that's more that's tighter. It's not quite Chaos because it's 2 sets, but it's still, it's more synergistic. You've got these 2 sets were designed to like Innistrad Midnight Hunt and Innistrad Crimson Vow were supposed to be played together. They were supposed to be drafted together, but because there were too many cards, we had to split them into 2 sets. And double feature is going to be the set that I wanted it to be. It's going to be curated. It's going to be great. And then someone along the line sort of decided, nah, too much effort. We'll just, smash the 2 together and see what happens.
Oh, I didn't know that much about, potentially it losing some design integrity there too. Like my narrative of that and why I kind of just go, no, it's not really for me, that whatever. I respect the art, like that it was also like a bit of a equal to show like, hey, what if all the art was in black and white? That'd be cool too as well, like it felt like a vintage horror movie.
Yeah, well, that apparently was part of the original design brief because
totally.
one of the things was like, okay, we can get older players to come in because they're like drafting 2 sets as one is vaguely intriguing, but we also need to make it visually distinct. We need to make it so it's not just, and that's where Mark Rosewater sort of came up with the idea that they'd do silver substrate printing.
Oh yeah, true.
So it wouldn't just be black and white, but it would be sort of different black and white where it would almost look like it was part of a movie.
Yeah.
But then, of course, obviously, things happened. Doing something like that would cost a lot of money, which they don't really want to spend on a reprint set. And then, of course, it lost a lot of the whole draftability because someone basically went, it's too much effort to have to make a curated set, so we'll just smash the 2 sets together and people can have it as is. And
keep a premium price tag, which is the opinion I got of it, that it's like,
it did
design wise, I'm sure it drafts fine, but I don't know if I'm going to pay more for it, like for some special.
Yeah, they kept the premium price tag, and my belief is that their reasoning behind that was because there is a chance to, in a normal pack, to pull 2 mythics, and that was
set boosters, right? Like,
Well, yeah, and that, because set boosters are considered, probably not now, but earlier this year they were considered to be a quote unquote premium
little more
pack.
Yeah, that price shift change, which is
so it's and my issue with Magic 30 is the same thing. It's Actually, it's the same as everyone else's. It's fine. It's perfectly fine. It's just the price tag that makes it like.
Exactly.
Because I'm sure people would absolutely love the idea of official proxies of the Power 9. Like
Totally, yeah.
people would
And
love
that
that.
whole perception changes with the price tag, right?
Exactly.
Like, I think, yeah. Like people go, oh, even $300. I reckon. They're like,
Yeah,
never. Like, like some people would do it, but I don't think it would get the vitriol that it got.
Yeah, exactly. People would say $300, that's expensive, but they'd be willing to pay it. But as soon as you hit that 1K for, what was it, 4 randomized packs or something? As soon as you pay 1K for that, then people are like, yeah, no. That's
Really?
that's like the original Double Masters, but worse.
Totally. You know what, Cam? I think of your views. That's why I always respect. Sometimes I worry that I'm like, oh, are you just like, am I being a pleaser? I'm just like, I'm not fussed by, I don't get that angry about things if they're not for me, that kind of thing. And I do enjoy you're kind of in the same realm. It's like, I think it's just healthier to me. Like, you know what? Choose your hill to die on. I'm not gonna like get super upset at this. I can critique it, but not basically threaten people in a company that like,
I can pull apart what I like too, if people want me to.
Really?
I can say Streets of Capenna is crap, but it's honestly, the reasons I like a set or dislike a set is going to be completely different or possibly similar to others, and
absolutely,
I'm happy to hear both sides, and I'll keep my opinions.
How dare you not have one single polarizing view? How dare you?
Exactly.
How dare I not hate on Magic 30?
Yeah, totally.
I'm gonna yell over people.
That was a big theme of 2022 for me. That it was that realization, like, why can't people just enjoy something that's a 6 out of 10? Like, and go, that was good. You know what I mean? Like the glass is half full, rather than that expectation. That's definitely like a trend to go towards. Like, there's people that won't watch anything unless it's over an 8 on IMDb or a 9, and it's like, well, I want to watch the very best, because yes, there's a lot out there, but at the same time, like, you live in such a saturated world of stuff that, like, the aggregate of something, like, I don't think that's the best like metric to look at if you enjoy it. I think you need to figure that out for yourself, that kind of thing. Like, my favorite things in the world are 6 out of 10s. Like, it's a Shenmue, the game. That's because it speaks to me. I've gone there, but it's that whole thing that's everything's 0 stars or 5 stars, and so when it comes to like, can we just enjoy something for enjoying it, rather than like. Yeah. It's almost seen as like that's too much of a dumb take like of something, like
it's too childish. Yeah,
totally. And it's like I felt that with, I don't want to get into this chat, but Rings of Power, like the Lord of the Rings show, it's like there's an amount of people that go, no one could stand to have a positive or like just a neutral view about it, or like even just like lukewarm positive, like, yeah, I just enjoy it, because it's like, yeah, you know what, you can just enjoy things and you don't have to sit there and like write a essay on why you had a critique on it and that kind of thing. Or, is being so overwhelmingly positive about something too dumb? It's not. Like, you can do that, and it's okay, because everyone's going to have different feelings and opinions, and it's going to trigger anything. And I think Magic's that awesome barometer of that these days, that I think we've gone past the people getting upset about their universes going into other different places or whatever, and like, that's not my Magic. It's going like, hey, guess what, this went into this place, that's fine, that's not for me. It went to this place, I bought everything. Like, I think that's the future of it, and I actually see that as a net positive. Yes, they make money from it, whatever, but like, can we just enjoy the things and go, that's fine, or it's not for me, rather than going, it sucks. And I don't know, maybe it was just feeling a bit too much of or like, very quickly feeling too much of that internet noise about certain things.
the vocal minority are the vocal minority.
Yeah, bottom line, it's okay to just like something. It doesn't have to be the best of all time. You can just like it. Like, that's fine. Or be like, yeah, it's okay. It's pretty good.
Actually, I've seen a few things posted by Maro and about Maro where apparently so people have been saying, what's it like, with these people being so vocal about these sets, and it seems like these sets that people hate, Mario tends to say, actually, our player data that we take from local game stores and things like that they give us actually tell us that these sets are incredibly popular, and these mechanics are very popular.
Like it's a small voice, right?
Yeah.
Today's word of the day is echo chamber.
Exactly. Vocal minority. Yeah, totally. Like the people that yell at the clouds and the people that actually like, and that's my point about the 5-star or 0-star thing. That I always put that in the terms of like Uber, like the weird rating economy you've got in.
Oh yeah,
Uber,
you either have
like,
0 stars or 5 stars. Yeah,
like things went satisfactorily, so they're like
it's 5 stars. Yeah,
that's 5 stars. Which I'm like, no, that's not really what 5 stars is. But it insinuates as if it's 3 stars, something went wrong, and it's like that's strange. Like that kind of thing.
I believe it's also got something to do, and I honestly don't know how Uber works, but I have heard that if they drop below 5 stars, that their pay gets cut.
Yes, so even that whole system is like...
it's rigged.
Well, the pay gets cut, and also they get paired with less people because people want the 5 stars, 4.9 stars, not the...
It's kind of insidious. It's crazy. And so it's next thing you know, you're getting all the chewing gum and the water thrown at you. It's like, oh, quick, like just basically like giving you all the... I haven't taken an Uber for like 4 years, but like that's how I got. It's like giving you everything, giving you control of the radio, making sure you're not too like, I don't know, like...
Really? All the Ubers I've been in, they've never given me control over the radio or given me gum or anything like that.
I mean,
I think once I got offered water and that was it.
Still got 3 stars now. But that and then the Google stuff too. So the point I was going to make was just like Google reviews. I think all that happens with the Uber reviews because they have to give the review. You know what I mean? Like you have to as part of the process and the the user flow. Whereas Google, people at the service often like implore you to kind of leave one honestly and like go, if you had a good time, like, well, you this was good, can you please leave me one? Because for the most part, the only people ever going to leave a review, there's no incentive to do so really. Someone just got too much time on their hands and it's just what they do, or someone's got something really negative to say because that's just generally the way they see the world. It's just like as if they've got a skewed view of the world, that like the world owes them something, which is a parallel to Magic here that I'll make as well, that there is an often brewing opinion that
that Magic owes us.
Yeah, totally.
We made Magic what it is today, therefore it owes us.
Exactly right. Like, I think I've talked about it a bit, but it's like I think we should probably get comfy with the fact that it could just die. That's fine. Like it's a card game.
Oh well, that's the clickbait title for this podcast right here. Is Magic dying?
Oh no! Yeah, shocked face.
Ask not what Magic can do for you, but what you can do for Magic.
Totally, and that's probably my big overlying undertone. That's a idiot thing to say, Sam. Bloody hell. But it's that whole thing. It's like we were saying before. It's just you don't have to get on the mighty kind of cliff about things. It's okay. Magic owes you nothing. Just enjoy it for what it is. That kind of thing. So
how dare you? But speaking of something controversial. The next topic is going to be Secret Lairs. So what's your hot take on the Secret Lairs that we've had in the year? I mean, they can also be on Secret Years overall, but we've had Universes Beyond, we've had some artist series. We've even got, I think, personally, probably a step in the right direction, which is what I'm calling With a Twist. So, for example, the recently released Just Add Milk.
Oh, yeah.
I need that.
I love this for breakfast theming. I'm all over this. Like, if there's one I'm going to get, it's probably this one.
Yeah, same. My controversial take is Australia exists.
Oh,
yeah. You're right. It's 2023 almost. I'd like to see that, and again, they owe us nothing, and I'm fine with that, but I'd like to see, without raising a pitchfork, they make it a little bit easier if we do want to partake in some of these, just some.
I actually have
a bit more easily shippable to Australia because it's not hard to do in the grand international scheme of things to do international shipping.
I actually have a conspiracy theory about that, which I probably won't share.
Do tell.
Okay.
Do I need a tinfoil hat?
Yeah. I'll need my tinfoil hat. Okay, so I apologize. I'm probably going to get a bit political here, but it's part of the conspiracy.
It's okay. Rod's here. It's fine.
So. All right. So, previously, as in about 2020, 2021, when Secret Lairs were around, shipping to Australia was, well, it was expensive, but it wasn't outside the realm. It was like $50, if I recall.
It's still kind of nuts, though, when you think about it. But anyway, yeah.
It is, but I mean, if I'm shipping something from the UK, I'm expected to pay like $30, so 50 from the US is, yeah. But then Trump got into power. Now, my understanding of this is that it then came up for the Postmaster General to be retired. Now, the Postmaster General is the person who's in charge of basically making sure that post goes where it's supposed to. They're in charge of running all the postal services and setting the prices. So Trump then elected put in power to be the Postmaster General one of his friends.
I was going to say, one of those people, those that do exist, that don't think Australia exists.
Well,
as in, no, legitimately, they're like, yeah, no, that's a conspiracy. Like,
it's not a conspiracy. It's not a conspiracy that Trump put in people who aren't worth the job.
But he put in one of his friends as the Postmaster General.
As you do.
The Postmaster General then immediately announced that US was no longer shipping to these countries, which included first world countries in addition to second and third world. So, for example, so no more shipping to Afghanistan, which is Afghanistan and Iraq. Yeah, that makes some sense. But no shipping to, I believe, places like Egypt, and Australia was on that list. Yeah. Which is where, if you were in Australia at the time, you would see hundreds of things saying that families were no longer receiving care packages from the US. There was all this bounce back. Basically, there was a huge embargo on sending anything to the US. Sorry, sending anything from the US to Australia. And it was at this point that it then became impossible. So a number of Kickstarters and other places and other things that I had going were trying to figure out ways of shipping to Australia. This is where the conspiracy kicks in. So the only way to get anything shipped to Australia was by a private courier, such as FedEx.
Okay.
So that means that my conspiracy is that the Postmaster General said no shipping to Australia for standard shipping. But for private companies, like FedEx and all that, they can
have a vested interest in.
Yeah, which they have a vested interest in, they can then ship to Australia. And because of the way that a monopoly works, it basically means that you can set your own prices, which means that they can charge whatever the heck they want as shipping to Australia, which then means that it jumps from being $50 to being, for a period of time, it was $150.
Congratulations, you've cornered the market.
Yeah, it was, for a brief period, it was like $150 to get anything shipped to Australia that was over, I believe, 10 kilos.
Yeah, that's nuts.
Yeah. So now, if you want to get anything... So now, because of that sort of corner market, it now means that getting anything shipped to Australia as part of a Secret Lair is at least 100. And
yeah, it's just like, it's prohibitive. It's just like, yeah, it's not worth it. Like,
well, Rod and I tried to get the, what was it? The Philadelphia? Philadelphia from Home Secret Lair.
Yep.
That had the cats and that had the Atraxa Phyrexian playmat, which is what I'm after.
Yep.
Sweet. Yeah.
To get that shipped to Australia was $200
Yeah.
shipping.
Wow.
And the thing itself was, what was it? It was 150, 200 or something US.
I was trying not to think about how expensive it was.
Yeah, and that's $200 shipping US. So you're looking at about. So that's my.
You've got to really love a theme. Like you really got to love cereal to do that, which probably do. You know?
Yeah.
Like,
So that's my conspiracy theory, is that it's all.
It's not even. It's more just. It's almost just. Like,
Is it really a conspiracy if it's
it's
the most logical
documenting
conclusion?
history, I guess.
Well, it's a conspiracy until it's proven true, anyway, and no one, I'm sure, will admit that it's true. But
so, Just Add Milk and like the mushroom one and stuff, they're coming out soon. That's going to be a 2023 thing.
Yes.
No,
we
it's
don't
just
talk
shipped.
about them in 2022.
It's just shipped.
Oh, it
Just
has.
shipped?
Yeah,
Did I miss out? Did I miss the timing again?
I think so.
You can still add them to cart. That's fine. Yeah, they're still can do. I don't know what the timing, because I've never ordered one. I don't know the process.
Well, the timing is weird. So the timing used to be 6 months. So
right.
It would close, and then 6 to 8 months later it would ship. But what they've tried to do is they've tried to pre-print the cards, so then they can ship them out quicker, which has both worked both for and against their favor. So
yeah.
Like,
I mean,
some people,
yeah. Go for it.
I was just going to say, like, some people didn't get their Magic 30 on time for Christmas, which is
of course,
because it was supposed to arrive 1st of December, and it was supposed to be the 30 days of December, but some people didn't get it.
Darn it, Wizards! I didn't get my $1,000 boost packs. Or are you talking about the ones that there was actually wasn't there a part of that was like a $200 set or something that was like a little like advent calendar type situation.
Yeah, that was the Magic 30. It was 30 days.
Everyone said that was the best thing. It was like, this was a home run. Like, this is really good. Like,
but the shipping kind of, well, not shipping, the production and shipping sort of tarnished it a bit. But people really did like it.
Yeah, fair enough. What I'll also say about Secret Lairs is I've already talked about how much they encourage new fandoms and that kind of thing, which I'm all for. I think I love it. I've seen some Transformers people being like, yeah, this is the best thing ever, or Magic fans that are Transformers fans, all that stuff, even though they're on a whole set already. That's another whole thing. But the biggest thing I love is I'm all for different art styles too. Like, it's showing that this game we play doesn't have to be under one art direction, you know what I mean? Like it can get to that homogenous, fantasy realm type thing that people were very protective of. And it's like, no, we're going so far out of the bounds that you can have in jokes too, like Atali and Golter on cereal boxes, like I love that. It's so funny. And then on the back of the Golter one, there's a word search thing that looks for Dreadmore and like different things like that. I love that, and it's also the different artists that gets involved to do different styles. Like they got pixel art, they got all kinds of different things, and they're just new conversation pieces when you sit down and do a Commander night or whatever, and you can really emphasize that one card that first of all you love, but also it expresses something you love in the Secret Lair. So I didn't think I'd be saying this about Secret Lair, and yes, there's a lot of it. And I guess the big criticism with a lot of things in Magic is FOMO, because there is a propensity to need to have everything. But it really has shown now there's no freaking way, unless you're a hedge fund investor, to have everything. You can't have everything, which is probably a good, valuable lesson that most people need to hear. They don't have to have everything, like if you just pick the ones you want. But trying to keep up with that is just like it's just a moving target, of course. So
I actually 100% agree, and if I can add on to that, one thing I did rather dislike, and I think it was at the start of this year, if not then it was last year, 2021, where there was a period where cards that hadn't been reprinted for years were coming out as Secret Lairs, so it felt like the only way you could
they're controlling the finance on them.
Yeah, so the only way you could get those cards was through Secret Lairs. And I feel like that's definitely the money grubbing part of it. But really, Secret Lairs should be used almost as a celebration and saying like the Transformers Secret Lair, where it's like, yes, Blightsteel Colossus hasn't been reprinted, and same as Darksteel Colossus. They haven't been reprinted for ages. But this is the perfect sort of, you've got Megatron and Optimus Prime. This is what you want. This is what Secret Lairs should be. They should be something new, something different, but they're not cornerstone card pieces of a deck.
Yeah, I know what you mean. That are like, that's the only way to get them type thing.
Yeah,
it's the situation of what was it, Kess, being a vintage staple or whatever. But it's the only it's a commander printing with only one foil, and it's like, yeah, that's a problematic thing, isn't it? Not that was crazy in price. It was more just like that was the one version. It was a foil. It curled.
Yeah, I agree. Secret Lair shouldn't be the only way that you can get the card. Secret Lair should be. People who want something different, people who want something weird, or people who just want to celebrate artists.
Yeah, totally. And that's a good point. So I think they learnt that pretty quickly when they did the Walking Dead stuff, that the biggest criticism was that you can't get Glenn.
You still can't get Glenn, by the way.
Not Glenn, or you can't get, what's the problematic dude apparently?
Negan.
Yeah, all that stuff, and it's that's going to be the face of the card until they made substitutes, and I think they realized very quickly that they just make parallels that are they're functionally the same card. So if anything in the rules kind of reference that card, they're still the same one. So they did the same thing with Stranger Things as well. And they're doing the same thing now, which I only saw today, the Secret Lair parallel. The Street Fighter parallels.
Yeah.
So I was like, essentially, it's that whole thing. It's like, yes, you can use Dalsim if you love Dalsim, because I do. Dalsim is amazing, but
here's an easy to get version. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Or exactly, or they're just not they're not dripping in that tone and that flavor of, that fandom. So I think that was such an easy thing to do, and I was actually personally wondering if they were. I was like, are they really going to do it? I don't know. When with The Walking Dead being the first one that copped so much of that, Well,
I just want to rub salt into our listeners' wounds. You still can't get The Walking Dead cards because they haven't. What do you mean? They haven't released them.
Oh, yeah, no, you're right. So the Stranger Things ones came through a set booster, I believe.
Yeah, so the Stranger Things were the first one to get the quote-unquote regular treatment.
Totally right. I was like, yeah, wait a second, what's the parallel for Negan or whatever? I was like, oh, yeah, there is.
Yeah.
I'm sure, yeah, where do you get it? Which I will say, very, very, funny these days with people go, oh, you have to have the real cards, but I don't know, if you really don't want that one and you don't want to pay for it, just print it. That's fine. I don't think Commander. I don't think it's
that's the kind of thing where I like to double check with my play group before I.
Oh no, totally, and I think I mean that's a whole nother.
Because you do get those people who are like, no, you have to play with the actual printing, and then you're like, ugh, I'm not playing with you then.
It's funny, side note.
They've evolved, actually. I've noticed that.
They've evolved.
No, sorry, they compromised. That's the word.
Yes.
And because they've went from, no, you have to own the card to play it, but because there's been so much from content creators to just people in general just be like, I cannot get my hands on this card, but I want to play with it. So they're like, well, I'm okay with you proxying the card as long as you own it somewhere. Because you're not expected to own 3 copies of Time Vault.
Right.
And I'm like, why not?
But somewhere, does that mean I own this JPEG?
I'm like, this.
The NFTs of Magic.
It has that kind of energy.
Exactly.
But I do like that because of the community and people in general. It became more about just playing Magic rather than let's see who's got the biggest wallet.
Totally. And it's funny, it's also about respecting that people have different like constraints about why they play the game and like what's the same for them. I guess whatever, but everyone's got their reasons, of course. But like I found myself the other day putting a Yortilla Nephilim deck together. I'm like, well, I better have the standby cards ready if someone says no, that's not a valid commander. That kind of thing. I mean,
it still amazes me that that's not a legendary creature.
No, right? And I mean, like Uncle Isfan remembers as well. But like, it's the whole. I don't know. Like, people have the reasons, and it can throw them off if they don't, or whatever. Like, I joke about if someone has that reaction to something like that. That I was like, I don't want to play with them. But like, are you really turning it down a game? The rule zero discussion, probably not. Like, it's we'll see how it goes essentially. So, whatever. It's about the people, not the cards. It's always been my opinion too. So yeah.
Yeah, but we're talking about the Secret Lairs, which is about the cards.
We are talking about the Secret Lairs. Yeah, self-expression, art, wackiness, all that stuff. Yeah. So yeah, do you want to cherry pick one each as one you enjoyed? Like spoke to you, I guess, this year.
I
feel like I know Rod's.
Well, if we'll let Rod go first because I think mine might be a bit weird. So.
Oh my god! I'm gonna have to go through the entire list again, aren't I?
No. Just whichever one stood out to you, because I also don't want to go through that list because that's a long list.
True, and
that's
so many.
Let's go to the Secret Lair website while I'm stalling for time, because there's too many. The Academy Award goes to
Transformers. You got your Street Fighter.
Oh.
Ninja Turtles. What? They haven't done that yet?
Oh, you got the Warhammer Orcs as well?
I do like the... I am sad that Orcs didn't get their own commander deck.
For the 40k?
Yeah.
That was a bit odd, but I mean, it made sense for why they didn't.
I get it. Doesn't mean I have to like it.
That's fair.
Yeah, so I like the 40k ones were cool. The ones that I unironically liked and people hated was the Fortnight one.
Oh, that's okay.
For two reasons. Okay, I don't like the idea of Fortnite shoving its franchise everywhere because it's my time to slip on the conspiracy theory hat.
Go ahead.
Epic Games owns the Unreal Engine.
Yes.
It wants to dominate the market in both video games and movies because they're using the original Unreal Engine for special effects in movies. So what they're doing is they're trying to shove Fortnite in as many things as possible to try and corner all markets and create a monopoly. So that aside, and how polarizing Fortnite is, and how they got sued for like $500 million by the U.S. government. All that aside.
I was about to ask you about like that. I was like, that's not a rabbit hole I'm prepared to go down.
I don't. How much time do we have? Let's.
Yeah, no.
Not that much time. I'm sorry.
Okay, but I do like that this was the right mix of Oh, hello, cat. This was the right mix of, hey, let's celebrate this franchise to get new players in, and also let's print cards that are not going to see in print because, was it Triumph of the Horde? We'll never see a standard reprint ever.
Dance of the Many?
No, Triumph of the Horde. Was it the
Infecti one?
I know. I was saying Dance of the Many is a similar card. It's not going to be reprinted anytime soon, but it's still used in modern decks.
Yeah, like it's and I love so I love the art for them. Like they chose the right cards to, represent the Fortnite thing because everyone knows what a battle royale is and how they stole all the dances from everybody. And they chose like very iconic. I love the art. I love how they represented the art to be in flavor of Magic. And the cards they chose. So like it was that nice little mix.
It's good.
Yeah.
I mean, it's actually good to hear a positive attitude or spin on I think that falls under the Universes Beyond banner, because I know that recently they've been getting a whole bunch of bad press because because Wizards are selling out. You know, Transformers is Hasbro, and then you got Stranger Things because that's popular, Street Fighter because that's popular. So it's nice to hear a positive attitude about one of their Universes Beyond, because I feel that that's something that's sort of lacking recently. Either that or people are just being vitriolic because they can.
Look, it's the Pleasant Kenobi syndrome. Like, if he's not doing his show, he's a very well thought out, very smart, well spoken person. But what gets him the views is having very negative, very laser focused tenties.
Yeah, that's a good point. It's like damn if you do, damn if you don't, right?
And like, unfortunately, even he admitted himself, I am a slave to the algorithm.
Yeah. That's why the faces all look like that, you know? Like, it's the whole, shocked face, YouTube.
Because people react to facial expressions more, especially if they're showing extreme emotions.
Yeah, exactly.
Because people like complaining about something.
No, like, it's a magic trick. Even if you know the magic trick, you still bound to it. Because, like, you know how the sleight of hand goes, but you still, even if you know how it goes, you're still controlled by the monkey brain, which goes, ooh, shiny coin.
Yeah, monkey/lizard brain, exactly. It's just what we do. We are slaves to the dopamine. You know? I feel like life is just like learning to manage that as best we can.
For sure.
But we are powerless before shinies and things. Yeah. Speaking of people getting upset, one of my favorites was actually the Pride Across the Multiverse set, because I distinctly remember people getting really upset about two men in a pool.
Oh, I love that one. That was the bear one.
Five bears in a tub.
Yeah, that's right. And I was like, hell yeah! Like,
I thought that was amazing. That was beautiful.
That was such a good one.
Well, that touches a lot of issues, but it was just the fact that it was something you don't see very often, like half-naked men who are not conventionally attractive, just being happy.
Totally, like a lot of awesome dad bods, and it's just like, and some people couldn't handle it, which was just joy to me.
I think that was one of the best, probably one of the best cards in that.
My favorite was the extra turn one where they had to
savor the moment, was it? Like, take an extra turn?
Savor the moment, yeah, like, and it was the two
Planeswalkers.
Planeswalkers.
Saheeli and
No, I think it's
hang on, let's go back.
It's Saheeli and the Planeswalker and Huatl. Huatli?
Oh, Huatli.
Yeah.
That one? Oh, sorry. I was looking at one that's like Rel and Tom.
Wait, Huatli's gay?
Yeah. She's
cool.
She's in a relationship with
What?
Saheeli.
Wait, that's canon?
Yeah, that's canon.
Holy shit.
They're not married, but that's canon.
Oh, wow, you're right. Yeah, Heartbeat of Spring. Yeah, Saheeli. Oh, rad.
It's 100% canon.
Oh, cool. I don't know that much about the canon because there's so much to follow.
Totally.
But I'm glad it's there.
And that's the whole thing. I know.
After all the whole queer washing of Nissa and Chandra, I'm glad they kind of fixed their mistake.
I believe that they got into a proper official relationship after War of the Spark. I'm probably being corrected, but I believe that's when they they made it official, because they were seeing each other before then.
Cool.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
I guess that gets my vote for
The Pride Across the Multiverse is your favorite?
But just because I saw so many people not so many people. Again, like we say, the quantity is like small, but like when
they're vocal,
and then I see then the retaliation is a lot of people. I know in the LGBTIQ sphere going, hell yeah, and it's like, yes, like this is the shit. Like I love it. So, yeah, that was a good one, and I can't wait for the cereal one too, because I want my cereal tally. That's good. So,
I didn't realize it was double-sided till Cam pointed it out to me.
Yeah.
What? Oh, the cereal ones.
The cards
Yeah.
are double-sided,
Oh,
yeah.
they're hilarious. The fact that they've got their because they have to be, because all their nutritional information always goes in the back, and that's where they put all the stats and
I like-
what the card does.
That's just chef's kiss.
Oh, it's kind of great. I mean, we talk about proxies and like what's not tournament legal and all that stuff with the Magic 30 and all that.
Yeah,
Like,
talking
the
about
kind of
what's
thing
tournament legal or not, and it's sort of like, that's
I'm
an
not calling
official
it,
card,
that's
but
cool. Because it, in a way, I think it does. It kind of puts the lens closer to what a lot of people have been doing in the proxy sphere for ages anyway, or the alter sphere, like doing something so outside the box of what the Magic art originally was intended, and so
it's just better for it.
Yeah, totally, and it's like that's what is now commercially available. Like you can buy them like official sanctioned versions, so it's kind of just like putting the big thumbs up. So yeah, the only other one was apparently it was at the box topper. I don't know how these work. Like we were saying before, I don't know what
there's a hidden card on the bottom or whatever.
So was one of them the DJ Scarab God?
Oh no,
that's-
okay. So that was a controversial. So in order to get the DJ Scarab as a bonus, you had to have spent 200 or more on the Secret Lairs. And the problem with that is each of the Secret Lairs is valued at $39.99, or for foil, it's $49.99. Now, the biggest problem is that it's not 50 or 40 rounded. It's the 99.
I get it. But these are just commercial tactics. Of course they are. So I think it's that whole thing that people are upset because what they need is like not the most readily available. And
well, I mean, I sort of side with the people on this one, because what they've done is they've basically said it has to be 200 on the dot, which usually means that you'd be buying 4 Secret Lairs. And it has to be 200, not including shipping.
Gotcha. I was going to say, in Australia, we just buy one.
Yeah. So what was happening is people were, because there was there was less available of the, there was less individual Secret Lairs that people wanted.
Gotcha.
So what people were doing is that they were going around to their friends and trying to get them, and they would get 4 and be just shy, which meant that they'd have to get a 5th. So they'd either have to get someone else in, or they'd have to... And that was annoying people, because people were like, well, I don't want the Alexis art people. I want the foil just add milk, but only 2 people want those. So that's not... What is it? That's is 98.
Yeah.
Sorry, not 98. Yeah.
Oh, that's gnarly. Isn't it?
Yeah.
Again, I'm not surprised. It's like they've run the numbers. They're doing this to anchor a little bit to make sure you increase net spend, of course. Like that's, and again, like, you know, the people that get angry about something free, it's definitely Magic players. Of course they would. But yeah, they don't want to miss out on DJ Scarab God, which, you know, fair enough, because DJ Scarab God's awesome, and so that's amazing. And yeah,
I was tempted, but I'm not a big fan of the art, so I'm like, yeah, no, I can give it a miss.
I'm a big fan of the art. I'm not a big fan of the card. I don't play the card because I see Scarab God so much. I'm like, yeah, great card, but it's like I just don't have one. So I was like,
I have a Scarab God deck, so I'm like,
I'm all for anything in DJ form. It's great. Remember, like back to Kamigawa before. Remember we had a DJ.
Oh, that's true.
Yes.
Did you hear about people playing Magic at one of the concerts? Wasn't My Chemical Romance? It was
That's the best. An awful concert. No.
Yeah, apparently the story behind that was that some guy had come up with they knew that they were going to the concert and had designed 2 decks specifically for that concert.
Wow.
So apparently what they did is they were hoping that some friends of theirs would go with them and play, but they didn't want to play the game. And while waiting in line to get into the mosh pit, apparently they found someone who was like, yeah, I like playing Magic. That'll be awesome. And so they sat down and played a game of Magic during one of the songs.
Machine Girl
That's right,
Girl
Machine
concert.
Oh,
yeah. And because
And
the
you
whole idea wasn't that he would that he made the deck specifically, but he would make the deck specifically and then donate them to the band.
It was. They actually played in the mosh pit.
Yeah.
Wow.
And the fact that everyone gave him space to do so is kind of amazing.
Yeah, I couldn't believe that they were like, yeah, I'm going to sit down in the middle of a mosh pit.
Yeah, exactly. This will make front page Reddit.
It was.
If it goes well.
But it's also one of those things where it's like, to me, that speaks volumes about Magic. That's what I love about it. It's not that it's this weird sort of thing that people with nerds play in their mother's basement, but it's the kind of thing that various walks of life can be like, I have this deck. Would you like to play with me? You know what? I'm somewhat interested. Sure, let's sling some spells.
Mm.
And that to me speaks of the core of Magic and why I enjoy the game so much. I mean, it's also fun and interactive, but I mean, that's what I enjoy. That's why I like Magic.
It's the friends you make across the board.
Exactly.
It's the excuse, as I like to say. That's the best part of it. Like, it's
the excuses.
Who we kidding? Like, we all need something to, as a conduit, to like get to know people, and it's probably the easiest one, right?
Well,
like if someone's into that, it's like, all right, we're probably going to enjoy a lot of the same ancillary things, or some of the same appreciations. Where it's like, you may be into the Ninja Turtles and I'm not. That's fine, but I'm sure you'll tell me about it because of this.
That actually would be a good Beyond. Universes Beyond Ninja
I've been
Turtles.
hinting at it twice. Now, Dark Crystal's always been my massive like.
Dark Crystal would work amazing,
Oh,
but
I love it.
considering what happened with the TV series, I don't think.
Exactly. Like, yeah, bummer. Anyway, what you going to say something, Rod?
Yeah, well, I can link most of my friendships to playing Magic.
Right. See, it's an excuse. You know, like it's there. It's also like that's the best part of it. It's using that as the jumping off point, rather than it's the only thing that binds us, kind of thing. It's like, I mean, after that, what binds us is we're just people and we enjoy each other's company and that kind of thing. We understand each other, so
Yes, we are all human sitting at this table.
right? Yeah, or many tables.
Can somebody point to me where all the ships are in this image? I cannot seem to do it. Because I am human.
Yeah. Exactly. Which one's the bus? They're all the bus, I'm sorry. It's great. Yes. All right, Cam, what's next? We've done a bit of Secret Lair. It's okay. It's fine. It's fun. I mean, one last thing on Secret Lair. The one I'll be dropping my wallet for is, no surprise. Again, the fandoms we love, some more than others, but Lord of the Rings next year.
Yeah, Lord of the Rings.
Because they announced that ages ago, and they've like,
Yep.
I like that they're taking their time with it, and I know.
Well, they announced 3 that were supposed to come out this year, but due to production and various issues, they haven't come out. One of which is definitely one that I'll drop money on, which is the Foglio art series.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. Absolutely.
Oh my, there's too much shit to buy.
Yeah.
But,
so is that Phil and Katja Foglio?
Yeah, that's Phil and Katja.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, apparently they did a Secret Lair, and I am just waiting for it to be released. I hope I have the money.
Big fan of artists kind of centric
Mm.
Secret Lairs too.
Well, it was funny because when I got my double masters, 2022, and started cracking them, when I got that alternate art Chaos Warp by Phil,
Oh yeah.
I was like, I got really good and expensive cards, but this one card makes me so happy.
Is it the goblin?
Oh,
Is it the goblin one?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's got all the butterflies.
That speaks to me on a spiritual level, though.
I love Phil and Katja's art. I think it's amazing.
I've always been a big fan of Sulphurous Springs. Jeff from MtG Lexicon always said that's his favorite art, and I'm like, yeah. And
Oddly enough, my favorite art.
Ultimate Guard logo. Guy just like.
Oddly enough, my favorite art is Recycle.
Oh yeah. It rings a bell. Hold on.
Because I just love the facial expression. It's just.
Oh yeah. And they're cooking. And
Yeah.
It's like, Miros De Pietro is great too, because that reminds me of like weirdly enough, like Monkey Island art in the pixel days.
I think that's what they were going for, but yeah, it's
even though it's on pixels, but yeah, exactly. Same vibes. Nice one. Yeah, looking forward to that for sure. Didn't know that was coming.
all right, yeah. So on to our next topic. So since we've talked about the sets and we've talked about Secret Lairs, I think it's time that we sort of I know we've touched on it as we've been speaking, but I think it's about time that we sort of discuss the reasonable elephant in the room that's probably wearing a wizard's hat. And that is the release schedule that we've had this year. So just to let you know, last year, 2021, we had a total of 7 sets. So that's 7 regular sets that were released. They were Innistrad Crimson Vow, Midnight Hunt, Modern Horizons 2, Strixhaven, Time Spiral Remasters, Kaldheim, and Dungeons & Dragons Adventures in the Forgotten Realms. So that's 7 of them. This year, we've had a total of 8. And they were Innistrad Double Feature, Kamigawa Neon Dynasty, Streets of New Capenna, the Commander Legends Battle for Baldur's Gate, Double Masters 2022, Dominaria United, Unfinity, The Brothers War, and I think that's it because Dominaria Remastered is coming out next year. So we've had a total of 8, which is an increase of 1 set, but that's also not including the numerous Secret Lairs and quote-unquote super drops that we've had, in addition to the jump starts, challenger decks, and separate commander decks such as Warhammer 40k. So we've been pretty much inundated with stuff, and there hasn't been a single month where something official is not being released by Wizards. So I just want to get people's thoughts on the release schedule. Like, do you feel it's too cramped, too much? Do you feel it's just right, or do you feel like possibly it needs a bit better pacing, or maybe they need to scale down the number of sets, or is this just right?
I think you made a great distinction there. Sorry, Rod, I'll talk in a second. But that sets almost isn't like the right like metric anymore, really, because sets are only like telling half the story, isn't it? Like that's what it really goes to show. Like I heard 8 sets. I'm like, well, that doesn't seem like that many. And then I realized what they were across different things, and then the ancillary things with them. So it's like each set maybe has some jumpstart stuff, and there's some commander stuff, and there's different other bits and pieces, which makes it a lot more muddy as far as like how many releases there were, and it means they can probably sneak a lot more in. So, but I'll very quickly say, yeah, like before, I just think it makes things feel less special if there's just too many of them. And I think commercially, what's happened is when they make news, like literally like stock news about Hasbro potentially pushing its like prize property a bit too far, and people that never played the game before and know what a Planeswalker is are hearing about this. That's the type of thing that may make them pump the brakes a bit, but who knows? Let's see.
Yeah. Like I think the problem is that they made it too efficient to pump out too much product, and they don't give themselves enough space to fall back in case of what if something gets delayed for reasons beyond our control, which we saw with Unfinity.
Yeah.
Like because before it used to be every 3 months you have the core sets, and then you might have something in between.
Yeah, you'd have a what was it? A premium, not a premium set. Yeah, an ancillary thing that would be like what was it? Commander Black or something like that.
Yeah, which completely forgot that came out at the start of the year.
You like back in my day.
I think your day back in your day was still our day.
From the vaults, my friend.
Yes, from the vaults.
Oh, but okay, back in my day,
corduroy foils.
Okay, hang on. If we want to go that far back in my day, damage went on the stack.
Yeah, no.
All right. Yeah.
Okay, no, but you could set your watch to when releases were happening.
Yeah.
Like and that was a good thing because it was a good expectation for both the consumers and the stores, because I interact with a lot of stores due to the nature of what I do, and all of them have the same complaint. Jesus fucking Christ, there's too much Magic stuff going on, but I cannot drop it because it's my main source of income.
Yeah, totally.
Like, even stores that tried very hard to not stock Magic because they don't want to, or they don't want to because they don't like it personally, or they don't want to be tie the entire store to the success of one product. They can't. It's impossible. But they liked it when like, all right, this month I need to buy this product and I can stock this much. Now it's a case of they don't know what to expect from the products. They don't know how much they should stock. Because I had one store that donated to a board game event 20 copies of the starter deck, 20 copies of the starter, the Dual Decks Arena, because they didn't know what to do with it.
Yeah.
And they were oversold by they were overpromised by the supplier how well they would do, which was horrible.
Yeah, and more it's seeming like it's not clear what this all means for game stores and whether they feel that supported, that kind of thing. Because I think that's a big knock against things like Secret Lairs and all that stuff. It's just like, it's that whole thing that wizards can do what they want direct to consumer. And I think that was a big criticism of Magic 32, that I think that was the first technically serialized product, or like randomized product, that they were selling through their store, rather than, because they can't. That's the whole point. They've always sold through their network. You can't buy booster packs directly off Wizards, and that's the one that maybe that signaled a bit of a shift in what that means. But that was a big sense of fear for a lot of people, because you think about why we play Magic against people. Like, I hate to say it, and I don't think many people will disagree with me there. It's, maybe if they just play Arena, whatever, like, that's fine. Like, that's a, it is still a legit way to play. But the reason I play is originally because of that, kitchen table and / game store vibe, and that crew and those people, and that's been the big criticism, to turn your back on that, what the fear has been, or to like not credit how important that really is to the success of the game, having the people behind it. Like, people aren't going to play it without that, that kind of thing. So yeah, who knows? I don't know, but yeah, that's generally, like you're saying, Rod, that's been a sentiment I've heard echoed a couple of times, that they're like, do they care about it? Like, I don't know.
But I can sympathize with a company wanting to make money.
Really?
But like everything, there should be a logical stopping point.
Yeah, or to know the writing on the wall, I think, is the point. And I think getting some press about that might hopefully do some good, about like slowing down a little bit, because there's just so. Someone said about the cognitive overload, about, first of all, maybe the game mechanics. And that's fair enough, because I get that a little bit too. If there's just too many things written on a card, that seems like a chore to really like process what's going on, and you might kind of not look at that kind of thing. If you overload with releases, that kind of extrapolates into, you need to take a break. Like, I just can't look at Magic for a little bit. It's just overloading my brain, because a lot of us have this like collector encyclopedic kind of obsession with this game, that like, you collect these pictures in your head, more or less, and the more and more and more they add to them in such a quick succession, it's like, I can't keep up. Like, I can't. And then, but I know I need to, like, and not that I need to, but like, have the want to need to, and it just becomes a bit jarring that this is your comfortable space, that like, this is like what brings me joy, but it's feeling like a massive chore to be like trying to keep up, and kind of brings a bit of anxiety. It's just a lot,
Well, funnily enough, that was one thing that took me the longest to learn about Magic and Magic players, was when I was first starting out. It was, people would be talking about cards, and there would be times where I just go, oh yeah, I totally know that card, because I thought that it was expected that I know what all these cards do and their interaction with each other and things like that. But
and you imagine that as a new player, like, and that important distinction, you're not meant to know all the cards, and that's the Richard Garfield intended game, where it's like you're going to go to a game and you're going to be like, what's that card? And that's a feature, not a bug. You shouldn't ever know all the cards.
That's actually the one thing that took me the longest to learn, which was it's actually okay to say, oh, can you tell me what that card does? Because it's expected that no one knows all the cards. I mean, you have the few who obviously do, but it's perfectly fine. It's perfectly normal to say, oh, I don't know what Turn to Dust does.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah,
that's that joyous discovery that, like, is the intention of the game from the very day one. That, like, the intention of the game is to sit down to a game and they throw something at you you've never seen before.
And interestingly, it usually does spark a discussion, because then what can happen?
Totally, yeah.
What can also happen is that you read the card and go, that doesn't do what you think it does.
Oh, totally. And that's a really great
card
healthy point. And
the card.
I think that would make a lot of people feel a bit more at ease with it all. Like, I honestly think it would be better for the game if they slowed down a little bit, and would also really... they don't have to slow down that much. Like, keep doing what they're doing with all the jazzy stuff, and like it's the most exciting sets ever been, I guess. But they all just saturate within each other, and that kind of works to the detriment. Whereas there's so much great design and craft and everything that goes into these sets, they feel like they're over very quickly. And it's like, no, let them sit in the sun for a bit longer, that kind of thing. And it's also that I wonder there too, like how, like, it's the thing a bit like the pressure of the video game industry, you know, like does this reach a critical mass if they keep on this trajectory to a point of crunch where it leads to compromises on a lot of things. And I'm waiting for that to happen. And like I said, my big overview of 2022 has actually been that the design has been pretty awesome. Like, there's been so much awesome stuff within, you know, and love and craft and you know, flavor in all these sets for the most part. Does it reach a point when you know, critical mass of like trying to push these so much in, you know, if it goes any faster, do you start to compromise those? And that's when, like, definitely audiences will be like, yep, no, that set sucked, we're not buying it, like, ideally. But I just worry that's the case. I just want, like, people's welfare. Like, you want to keep this into the really awesome, creative, you know, positive space of people get to work on stuff that is really... I don't know, like, you look at each of one of these cards and you're like, someone's really thought about this, and they gave a shit. You know, it's not just like we say, there's two sides to it. There's the corporate side and the R&D side. It seems like, and our R&D side for the most part seem like they aren't listening to what the corporate side's doing, which is lovely. And I want more of that.
Probably a good thing, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Design in isolation.
Yeah, well, I'm entitled to agree with. I really don't like it when there's a discussion and everyone sort of agrees with each other. But
no,
I think on this pretty much all players are agreed that the constant slew of product, which is, you know, the Secret Lairs, the commanders, the sets, the jump starts, and all that is a bit much. And because there literally hasn't been 1 month gone by where we haven't got a set, an ancillary, and a Secret Lair.
Yeah, totally.
And that's just content overload, which is why I think a lot of people are sort of feeling a bit bummed or a bit burnt out, because it's just been... I believe there was an article a little while ago where it was basically along the lines of rats, I had it and lost it. Yeah, but there was an article that was basically along the lines of that people were getting burnt out and were starting to not care too much about Magic because there hadn't been a single month without spoiler season.
Yeah, totally. And that kind of just takes the sheen off everything. It's like, it's the whole ice cream for dinner thing.
Yeah.
Like, is it that special if you have the thing that you've been waiting for, you know, all the time?
Yeah, exactly.
It kind of diminishes that a little bit, like absolutely. And I think that's always important as that distinction too, to think about where you sit in that space of how franchise you are with the thing. And I think not enough people think about the views of the game from, say, what it's like for someone beginning and like who is going on that amazing journey, which I think we all feel that nostalgia of when we were first learning the game. And it's a strange, like that's also a
I'll have
state
to
in most.
disagree with you. I don't think I feel nostalgia for that time at all. More sort of dread.
Really? Oh no, 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 no! You're right. Like
I felt
I definitely...
felt the love of I remember feeling happy, you know, that I got to play with all these people and got to see all these cool cards that I'd never seen before. But I also remember feeling an intense sense of dread because it would just be, you know, there's this set, there's this format, there's the other thing, and
I was about to say the people that like I.
Oh no, the people were amazing. I remember sitting out the front of, it was some restaurant in the QV. Just like sitting on chairs, and the store had closed like an hour ago, and it was 9 o'clock at
You're
night.
Out there jamming.
And yeah, we were just playing some Commander, and you'd have Skitherix, the Blight Dragon, with Khan.
Yeah, Skittles.
Yeah, Skittles and Khan, and whatever the heck I'd be playing, and we'd just be throwing stuff at each other, and it was fun.
Oh, I like that. It's well, I was gonna say I did dodge a few people like learning the game where I could have let that get me down a little bit. Where you do encounter some people that they make it their work to like make you feel like you're a beginner. If that makes sense.
Yeah. I know those people.
And my theory that is that as humans, we're all kind of very much disposition to like a contest. We like to battle. We like to fight. That's what we do. Like we're you know, animals, whatever. Some people take that out in weird ways in life they don't realize, and it's very, you know, subconscious. And that's a weird kind of flexing, edging type thing I've found with a lot of definitely in franchise players in Magic. They can do that without realizing to like dominate like more junior players. And I remember it's like, God damn, I'm doing well in my life, career, all that stuff. I feel like I'm a, you know, accomplished person. And then all of a sudden I feel like a child again because the way someone's speaking to me and the way someone's treating me on the battlefield, so to speak. And so I'm really glad I didn't let some of those experiences kind of get me down. But it's when you find, like you say, Cam, you have people, like you find that welcoming crew. Like I was welcome to the Commander group of friends of mine, and that was the nostalgia I'm talking of. It was like that was the most exciting time ever of just getting into this game and like knowing there's an absolute infinite pool of cards and stuff that could happen. And to think about it is always really healthy that way. To reframe the game that way is really, really healthy. To go, like we just said, and I think I'm really happy we identified. It's like, it's a feature to not know all the cards, and I've generally felt it much more healthy and exciting to even not stress too much about keeping up with spoiler season, and then just dive into grab some cards of the new set, and you're like, oh, what does this do? What does this do? And like, just not feeling like you have to absorb everything and, you know, memorize it to heart. Like it's, you know, I don't know, like you just don't have to. Like, there's not enough space in your head.
Yeah, well,
I found that. Like,
I mean,
there's literally, I'm finding now, it's like I'm running out of room. Like, there's just too many things stored here. Like, it's crazy.
Yeah, and it's definitely a matter of there's only so much that people can retain, and what an individual card doesn't rank pretty high.
yeah, exactly. So again, I think my massive stance is that like bunching up more product releases, yes, makes more money, but maybe makes them less special individually. And then I just think I tweaking that balance, I think you get the same results and appreciation from the enfranchised base, as well as the new players. Give them time to breathe as well. If you just like step a little bit off the pedal, like and just let them breathe a little bit, potentially. We'll see.
That's why I'm feeling so refreshed this end of the year, because there's been nothing about New Phyrexia.
Oh, totally. Yeah, totally. And I'm kind of learning to like tune out a little bit too. Like the time will come when it releases, and I'm enjoying that now. That like because it is so fast, I just know I don't look at it until like pre-release weekend.
Yeah, unfortunately,
like, cool.
Unfortunately, you guys are in a chat with me, so I can guarantee that you're going to get burnt out by New Phyrexia pretty quickly.
Totally. But like you take a whole like season off, so to speak, like for a whole set, and then you get back into it, and it's exciting again, kind of thing. And that's what it's about. That discussion is really fun too. Like I always love that because we end up talking about cards that there's all this hype in the world, or like everyone's like controversial. It's going to break the game of Commander. It never does. It's fine.
Except for Lutri.
Seeing what they do. Yeah. Hey, unban Lutri. It's fine. But yeah, not as a companion. But yeah, no, that I think you're right. That banter and that whole discussion point is a fun feature as well. And I want more of that. That's actually. It's not people that are tired, it's people that are ready for it. So it's like striking that balance, I think, is ideal. But again, I also don't expect the commercial conglomerate to look at that as like a goal. So
yeah, I think being admonished by Wall Street probably helped a little bit, but
yeah, that's the only thing they'll listen to, right? Like, absolutely.
I mean, it's corporate America, so who they listen to?
Yeah, right. Like, yeah, exactly. Is Madness doing the same thing, expecting different outcome? I don't know. Yeah. So no, I think we're fine to all agree on that
one. Well, in that case, since we've talked about the release schedule, which is the year that's passed, next year we've got. It looks like we're having a little bit of a break, so I think the rubber band is finally snapped a bit because we've only got a few sets. We've got Phyrexia All Will Be One, which they will, March of the Machines, and then we've got, I believe, Wilds of Eldraine, and then the Lost Caverns of Ixalan. So,
all names I forgot about, yeah.
So looking forward to the next year. What are you hoping for? What are you looking for towards? What are you excited for? Just what are your thoughts on the coming year, and what are you hoping?
I'm hoping that Ixalan has more Mesoamerican themes that they promised us from the previous set.
Totally.
Because it just turned into dinosaurs, vampires, merfolk, and a few questionable Latin American historical points that nobody wants to raise in polite conversation.
Had a few, like Aztec kind of characters that worshipping the dinosaurs and stuff. Like it's.
Well, I thought that they were doing what was it? The merfolk were the Aztecs.
Yeah, but the problem is the whole invading Spaniards forces that nobody that. Instead of just being there's a golden temple. I'm like, this is not what I was promised. Like, there's so much. There's such a such a deep culture, and it felt like a kick to the nuts, especially when we had what's the Indian set called?
The Indian set.
Oh, it's like Kaladesh.
No, what you call it? With the artifacts.
Kaladesh.
We had Kaladesh, which are like, we're gonna treat them very respectfully.
Yeah. I remember Shivam at the time had a lot to say about that really, really well, and there's some old podcasts that he was on that he kind of articulated that so well. That it's about going a step further than just making a reference, for sure.
Yeah.
Although the whole 7-Eleven ship, 7-Eleven merchant ship. Oh.
Totally. Oh, Rod, that came up straight away. I was like, oh yeah, I remember that. That was really weird.
It's like
super weird.
It was more the fact that Mario patted himself in the back for that joke.
Yeah. Gets in the whole Simpsons thing, and is that right, and all that stuff. Anyway, exactly.
He was brought kicking and screaming to the present.
Yeah. No, I agree. And again, it's the whole, what do you call it? Like, you've got tentative expectation of it. Like, you're like, all right, well, we won't dismiss it until we see it. But here's hoping, right?
Did you hear that they recently, as of I think last month, started looking at hiring, what was it, cultural consultants.
Yeah, interesting.
And it boggles me that the company has remained this long in the 21st century without any sort of cultural.
Yeah, oh, totally. It's more
because
the
they
fact they're like, oh, we're going to get something. Like, what?
why not? Well, I can tell you 100% why. They had no monetary reason to.
Yeah, exactly. You're right. Like most things, and I think that's more realistic than like scathing as a reason. Like it's just like, yeah, it's dead right. You've got to. I think for people criticizing these companies, it's like you've got to think like them. It's like they will not do anything until they have a monetary reason to.
I'm not. I'm not saying it's the correct thing.
Yeah, it's
but
like
it's
the
just,
objective. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally. No, I agree with you, Rod. I think Ixalan will be interesting to see, especially that the fact that they've chosen it to do it again, which indicates to me like they'll look at a different, ideally a different tone, or start like change, like shift it a little bit. Like what didn't they do the first time?
So like, just the title alone, "The Lost Cavern of Ixalan," means that they're gonna like hopefully they'll step away from the Spaniard vampires.
Possibly, but it sounds like they're probably going to do because it sounds very pulpy. So
It sounds like Treasure Island by.
oh, I was thinking more along the lines of Indiana Jones.
I was thinking like, was it Journey to the Hollow Earth?
Journey to the Center of the Earth.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, that's what I mean by pulpy. So there's a series of, it's a writing style that was popular way back when called pulp fiction, which is things like Journey to the Center of the Earth and what
It's like all the sensational style you hear on Fallout or something. It's just like the 60s. I'm like, well, it's the most crazy thing on the planet. Like, oh yeah.
Welcome to the strange world.
Exactly, and that usually features some, like idealistic hero white guy that's just like, oh, geez, come on, like that's always the hero. It's like, yep. But yeah, totally, and that's I think that's a really good assessment of it too, Cam. Like that's that's potentially, I reckon that's definitely like very likely what it may fall into.
Which could go either way. I mean, they could do short round, or they could do something that's a bit more culturally.
I'm ready for
culturally
them to
appropriate.
Us. I really want them to, especially like if actually properly done with like cultural consultants and stuff. Like it's and again, like I say, generally the design and the trajectory they're on, the design and the the flavor and everything and the care put into stuff like recently has been of a pretty high standard. So I don't know. I'm kind of expecting some okay things.
Well, I'm gonna be the. I mean, everyone who knows me knows that I am totally down and 100% looking forward to Phyrexia or Will Be One, March of the Machines, and everything like that.
Mm-hmm.
But if there's one other thing I'm actually actively looking forward to that I hope that they don't screw up, the Doctor Who Commander decks.
Oh wow!
I am a big fan of Doctor Who. I've watched pretty much all that's available, with the exception of the few episodes that no one has seen in the past, like 70 years. But I am 100% excited and on board for the Doctor Who Commander decks, especially since I've tried brewing one of my own using Joyra. But
hell yeah!
I am 100% down, and I am excited to see exactly what's going on with that.
Yeah. Again, I actually have pretty high expectations of the way they'll treat these. Like, I think the Warhammer set was actually pretty amazingly done. I know nothing about Warhammer, but I bought the deck, or one of them, and I was like, this is kind of amazing. It doesn't feel like these are a huge departure from Magic cards at all. They're still Magic cards. They feel, in a weird way, just a different plane. Like, there's just a plane where these spaceships have, wars and all this stuff. Like that's totally a thing. I don't think it's too strange or anything, and they generally, it's that whole connection point with the mechanics actually do some really interesting stuff to depict those. And then as we've seen with the Warhammer set too, you start to get really excited about all the possibilities of existing spells, like really like good, powerful spells, and what they may do and what they may have, the way they may be depicted in the context of, say, Doctor Who. The one I'm looking at right now with the Warhammer sets is like Swords to Plowshares.
Oh yeah.
That works really cool, and like like everything's recontextualized, like the way a Soul Ring works, like the way the Skull Clamp is my favorite.
Skull Clamp's pretty cool. I love that. That's
what that creature is, and it's like what that thing is in the Warhammer universe, and I'm all of a sudden it's doing exactly what it set out to do. I'm getting a little bit more interested in Warhammer because I understand what like the significance of these things are in the whole, the context of everything. So, I think Doctor Who will be amazing, and I think, as I said before, Lord of the Rings will be the thing. I really hope they do a good job of it, and I think they will. I think it'll be awesome.
As long as they don't reference the TV series, yeah.
Oh, stop it! I'm happy for them too. Seriously.
No, I know. It's just I thought that would be a fun little thing that I could nibble at you with.
Exactly. Hey, Merry and Pippin partners, I'm all for it. It's gonna be good.
Oh, I didn't think of that.
Yeah,
that would be really good.
Crafted many a thing. It's gonna be great. You think of all the cool equipment you can have, it's gonna be great.
The Riders of Rohan and stuff like that.
Exactly.
What about me?
Oh, we're just talking about you.
Okay.
2023. What's
2023. What are you looking forward
sorry,
to?
you did your excellent one. But anything you're looking forward to potentially? I don't know. Universes beyond that we haven't talked about yet.
Not like I like that Universes Beyond exists, but it's just not for me.
Yeah.
Like I love that they exist. I love that I can get excited with friends who will have overlapping common interests.
You get these amazing Venn diagrams.
Yeah.
These two things I absolutely love.
Like I like Magic, and I can talk to my wife who knows more about 40K than Magic, and we can bond over that. Like the true test of the Universes Beyond, if they'll do Universes Beyond Yu-Gi-Oh.
Oh.
Wow. Meta as heck.
You laugh, but you kind of want to see it happen.
How amazing! Imagine if it just Pac-Man'd up the whole card game.
That
or just be like, oh, we do it.
I sort of feel like you'd have one that's like banished to the Shadow Realm. That's just like Scheherazade.
Oh.
Oh, far out. That's nuts.
I think you've just won this discussion, Rod.
Exactly. Stuff. All right. What else we got left, Cam? I think that's nearing the top of the.
Yeah, that's pretty much nearing. No, that was it. Just sort of what are we looking forward to? We've sort of discussed that. We've taken a brief look at the year that was, and as we head into the year that is, or the year that will be, I think that people are going to be rather surprised when there's going to be a downtick in content release, which I think, and many people will be happy for, just to take a breather. Because
peace in the realm.
Yeah, because the last two, so the Wilds of Eldraine and the Lost Caverns of Ixalan, are supposed to be, what are they called, break sets. Because they're supposed to be sets that have no story or anything, which means that I'm hoping that 2023 will be the year of, well, I don't really want to say the year of relaxing, but in terms of Magic, it should be a lighter year, I'm hoping for.
At least Renaissance, yeah. I like it.
All right. Thank you very much for joining me. I've been your host, Cam, of Vorthos Tribal. Joining me has been Sam of Commander Crunch. Make sure to check out his amazing podcast.
Thank you.
And we also have Rod.
Yep.
And the car in the background.
And that's Hot Rod to you?
Oh, okay.
Exactly. We're tempted to call you that, but yeah, now we'll.
I don't mind.
Yeah. So that's been our discussion. I just want to thank you all for taking time out of your busy schedules to come and do this and have this discussion with me. So thank you.
Enjoy the hangs.
Yeah, no,
And hopefully for you listeners, you'll be sticking around and checking out some of the videos that I've got. But be sure to check out the description for links to Commander Crunch and to whatever it is Rod does.
what does he do?
Who knows everything and nothing.
The Eternal
More
Quest.
infinite.
Yep.
Exactly. Now, thanks for having us, Cam. That was awesome.
It's alright. Thank you.
Yep, thanks.
Till next time.
Ciao.
Bye.